welcome to our first ever No Sleep Imports review. We're going to do these things Doug Demure style because he is the originator, he is the king, he is the best at it. We're going to do our best to emulate it, but you know, let's face it, I'm not Doug, so but we will get it as close as we can do it. So what we have here is a 2008 Saturn Astra. Now these cars were only made for 2 years, 2008, 2009. I think these cars are beautiful. What makes this car kind of cool and unique is the Astra model had been made in Europe and the UK going back, I think, into the 70s. So in Europe, this car, identical car, was sold as the Opel Astra. In the UK, identical car, although right-hand drive, was sold as the Vauxhall Astra. Only difference was they came with the same motor, but they also offered smaller motors in those two cars. This is the 1.8 Ecotec 4-cylinder. I believe you could get the 1.4, maybe 1.2 over there. This one is an automatic. This is the XR, which is the top of the line model for this car. But let's just take a look at this thing. To me, this thing is just beautiful. And this car did not sell well at all here in the United States. Saturn dying in 2010, they actually didn't offer this car in its last year when they still existed. But to me, this car is just beautiful. 3-door coupes, always beautiful, very functional. I think the car looks really, really sporty, and it actually passes for a newer car. You know, we're looking at a car now that's, what, 14, 15 years old, but I think this car is pretty good looking. And to me, just beautiful to look at. The design is just very good. Front wheel drive, 138 pound or 138 brake horsepower, 125 pounds of torque on this thing. But this car to me is just a pretty car. So first we are going to do the quirks and features of the Saturn Astra, and then we're going to test drive the Saturn Astra, and then we're going to give it a no sleep score in homage to the great one, Doug. It'll be eerily similar to the Doug Demure score, to the Doug score. But let's just talk about one of the cool quirks and features on this car on the exterior. If you look on that side, this car's actually got the side turn signal, which is a European UK thing. Right over here is the side, is the turn signal I'm talking about. That's actually got that. American cars don't have that. But like I said, this car is identical to the Opel Astra and to the Vauxhall Astra. So they just kept that part right on there. The only difference really on this car is front grille on the Vauxhall and the Opel. They put that emblem on there instead of Saturn, and then same thing on the back. There's just a different emblem on there. You can see this one's got the Saturn logo right up there, but the Vauxhall and the Opel just has their logo. But otherwise, identical, and it actually bolts right on. So you can turn your Saturn Astra into an Opel Astra or into a Vauxhall Astra. Let's take a look at the back emblem as well, because that is the only other part on here that has the Saturn on there, except for interior stuff. So once again, if you're going to turn this into an Opel Astra or a Vauxhall Astra, that comes off and you put the Opel logo, which is one of the better logos out there. But it's still the Astra XR. Everything else is still the same. Let's get in the car and we'll take a look at some of the quirks and features of this car. Some of them really good, some of them not so good. We're going to start with the glove box. This is good. Let's open up the glove box. You've got a coin tray, very functioning, not fabulous, but good. Look at this, you got a pen holder. I like to have a pen in my car. This is brilliant. Why don't more cars have this right here? And then you also have the shelf in the glove box. Look at this. Normally a glove box be one open area. You got everything sitting in there. It falls on top of each other. But putting a simple shelf, look, I can put things on there. If I had an owner's manual, perfect spot for the owner's manual, my registration and insurance card. I still have my napkins up there if I need them, my hand lotion, my hand soap. Just really functional. Makes sense. Every car should have that shelf. I don't know why they don't. Let's take a look at the other features that are pretty cool and unique to this car. Next feature is going to be the key, okay? Now, I know Audi makes the key like this, but look at this. The switchblade key, very cool. This is a little strange. Keyless entry. You've got this button, which locks the car, evidently in German. 2 lines like that means lock. And then this button unlocks the car. Once again, in Germany, 2 lines like that means unlock. I don't know why, but in this car it does. Next strange quirks and feature in this car. This button right here, okay? This thing, I'm gonna push it. You'll be able to hear what it does. It's the starter. Now, I don't know if this was put into the car by a previous owner or if Saturn put this in there. My stomach tells me a previous owner put this in there. Don't know why, because the key works in all the locks. So there's no problem with the ignition. But if Saturn put this in here, or Opel, or Vauxhall, very unique. So watch what's going to happen. We're going to turn the key. I've got the power on now. My foot is not going to be on the brake, by the way. I can start the car just by pushing that button. I don't know why. And this is even more strange. I don't know why I like it, but I kind of like it. I start the car like that now. Maybe it's the fact that I don't put my my foot on the brake, which is very European and Japanese. That's why I think maybe it might be from the factory. In European cars, UK cars, Japanese cars, you don't have to push the brake to start the car, which that's really only an American thing, which is just silly to me, but still, it is only an American thing. Next cool quirk and feature, right up here. Normally you would have a handle there to get you in and out, which the driver really doesn't need. Germany, what do they put there? Ah, yes, of course, a sunglass case for your sunglasses. Now this is weird too, because I find myself using this. I don't know why, but when the sunglass case is up here, I don't use it in the car. This one I use all the time. So we're actually going to put these on, and we're going to call this feature, this is in honor or reference to David Hasselhoff. We all know huge in Germany. Doesn't get any cooler than the Hoff. So we're going to put these on for the rest of our review. We're going to take the nerdy Drew Carey sunglasses, put them right down here. One feature that's a little weird that I don't understand on this car. You look right here. This is going to be instant fuel consumption. Car's running right now. We're not moving. You can see it's saying we're getting 0.3 gallons, I think, per hour, but I don't even know what the H is. When you drive this car, this thing constantly changes. It goes as high as 999.99 miles per gallon, all the way down to some ludicrous number. I don't know why it's there. It's distracting. It's annoying. Give me maybe an average right there. I do like the range feature. That's great. How many miles do I go before I run out of gas? Great feature. This thing, just a waste of everything. Waste of time, waste of computer space, just waste of everything. Don't need it. Next cool feature on this car right here, we've got the four-way flashers. And this is simple. It is just a simple triangle. It is sticking out. But when you push it, you know, it actually works. There's no other extra button. It's just the triangle, which I don't know why, but I think that's pretty cool. I find that to be very interesting and very cool. I wish more cars had the button like that. I have a feeling probably a lot too, but I just don't know about them. Next cool feature this car has, 2008 here. So we've got traction control for bad weather, and we have, look at this right down here. We have a snow button, which I can only assume is some version of traction control. Probably the same button almost, but I don't really know why it's in two spots. But it is in two spots. Very strange. Next thing that's a little bit unique on this car, if you take a look at the windshield wipers, you can see there's these two, I don't know what they are up on the windshield wipers, but I had the wipers on the other day, and I had it on the low setting, and this thing would go faster or slower depending on how much water hit the windshield, which I can't, help myself but think that there's some type of sensor up there that would control the speed of the wipers, because this doesn't control the speed really. In fact, this is one of the weird, annoying quirks and features that this car has. So on the turn signal over here, you've got your normal left or right turn signal. Most cars, when you turn it up to the right, the switch stays up there. In this car, no. You turn it up to the right, it goes all the way right back down to the original position. The turn signal stays on. The only way you can turn it off is just hitting it the other way. Same with the wipers. When you go up onto the wipers, you push up, but it doesn't stay up there. So you really don't know if you go up 2 or 3 times. You don't know, am I at the lowest setting? Am I at the hyper setting? Where am I? And then when you even go to turn it off, you've got to hit it several times. You never know when you're turning the thing off. It's almost like the gear shifter in a motorcycle. I never know how I get down to first gear until I keep pushing down. But kind of a weird feature, which I don't really like. Quality of this car. So this is a 2008 Saturn Astra XR. But this car has been driven pretty hard. You can see already the paint is a little rough. Look at our interior right here. And I don't expect the person who owned this car probably, was going to think this thing was going to be a valuable or collectible car. Not that it is, but to me it's super cool and super collectible, just because it's so unique. But, and I don't know if it's the person that was rough on the car, or maybe it's just the quality. Let's face it, this is just plastic. And it's painted on there. And look at this right here. Like, you can see, it's like bubbling right there. And this is factory, which tells me it was almost not put it on correctly. I don't know. I don't know what else to where else to blame it, but it's all over the place. It just isn't, the paint shouldn't be bubbling up like that, is my point. This stuff I would expect, your key hits it, whatever, and they've broken off a little. There should be a latch right here. Also, quality on the car. You've got the 12 volt, doesn't work. Radio right now doesn't work, which is also the computer. So I can't change these things. The info button, the main button, none of this works. Now this might be a simple fix. I haven't gotten to this yet. We haven't taken this out to see what's going on behind it. This is the factory radio, and it is the high-end radio, the CDC40. This actually has a multi-disc CD changer, but like I said, it doesn't work. So don't know if it's a radio, don't know if it's not connected properly. I did check the fuses, hoping that was going to be the problem, but it's not the fuses. Also, the person with this car, take a look at our gear shift knob. I don't know if they were part shark or part, dinosaur. I don't know, but why the heck are you peeling this rubber back? Like, this does not peel back easily. And someone went out of their way while driving to just pick this thing apart, which I don't understand. Before we take this thing out onto the road, another very strange feature in this car is going to be the gear shifter, okay? So watch me right now. I'm going to put this thing into reverse. We're into reverse. Now, normally, you would be able to push down to neutral like you should, and then normally you could maybe get into drive, which you shouldn't, but this one you get into drive this way. Now, this is where it gets a little weird. Normally, you can just push straight up from drive to get up into neutral, and actually, you know what? It does work. I'm wrong. I thought that didn't work. It's got a second click. Do you see that? So it gets right there, click once. I don't know where it takes me, but I have a feeling I'm still in drive. One more click. So it's actually that extra click. I'm wrong. It actually gets us there, but there's an extra click in there. I don't know why. Also, and we're going to see this when we drive, this is a 4-speed automatic. And right here in the center part, I don't know why Opel felt you needed to see this, but it'll tell you what gear you're in. In other words, when you pull out, it'll say D1. And then when it shifts up to D2, it'll say D2. It'll be right here where the neutral is. D3 all the way up to D4. I don't know why they felt like you needed to know what gear you were in. It is an automatic, but this actually tells you and shows you what gear you're currently in. Very strange, very odd. But it does actually show you that, and it does actually tell you that. Kind of normal on cars of this era. Our headliner's falling down a bit too. Once again, I'm gonna blame that just on, the person taking care of this car. Probably was not the nicest with the car. We do have side airbags. We do have an airbag right here, and we do have an airbag right here. So we got a lot of safety features for a 2008. But even on the interior, now look at these seats, okay? This is not a sports car. In fact, this is typically considered an economy car. But these seats are really quite comfortable. Nice side bolster. When I'm driving this thing, I'm not really shifting around real quick or falling out of my seat. Really a nice seat for a what I would call kind of a nice economy car, but still an economy car. Not a high-end, not a luxury car by any means. Although it does have power windows, and it does have power windows. And it does have the windshield wiper in the back, so it's got a lot of nice features in it for an economy car. But still, I'm blown away about how nice these seats are in this car. We're going to take this thing out and just drive it just a little bit and give you our review on that. So let's go ahead and buckle in here and close these doors up. Unfortunately, I don't have the budget that Doug does, so we're not going to be editing this video. This is just one straight through. So let me put my seatbelt on, and let me have my cameraman put his seatbelt on without hurting himself, hopefully, because Lord knows we don't want him to get hurt. And this car does have 148,000 miles on it. This actually does have the check engine light on right now. We figured out what it is, and we have the sensors coming, so we will get that fixed. Very, very minor thing, but it does have a check engine light on this thing. So we're going to put this into drive, and we are going to take this thing out. And I got to tell you, driving the car itself feels very light, feels very nice. I like the way it drives. Doesn't feel heavy, doesn't feel overly fast, but doesn't feel Mitsubishi G4 slow. I am going to put the air on because it is a hot day here in Pennsylvania. So we're going to put the air on so both me and my cameraman do not melt. I am old and fat. I'm already sweating, so let's put our air on so we can do that. One kind of unique feature you'll see right here, this is the unlock button. It does have power lock. So to unlock the car, you either have to push that button to get out, or this is kind of weird too. You have to actually turn the car off, pull the key out. When the key comes out, that's when the car will unlock the doors automatically. If not, just simply pushing that button will do the same thing. You do have nice vents coming out here, and although this is some cheap plastic, and we already went over how it's not painted very nicely, it actually looks pretty good, you know, with the way the colors are. And even with the air conditioning on, this car's got enough pickup. It's quite comfortable. Miles per gallon, you're somewhere in the 20s, maybe 30s on the highway. Pretty respectable for this car. Not fabulous, but you know, not terrible either for this type of car. So I'm going to turn left on here, and I want my cameraman to take a look at the drive right now. So if you can, come over here and just take a look at the, so you'll see we're in D1 right now. And if you can, just stay right there. We're going to pull out here and say, we're actually going to go to the right, not to the left. And we'll have the car shift. But you'll see that thing's going to go from D1 to D2, right up to D3, and then all the way up. Eventually we'll get to D4. But that thing constantly changes, whatever gear we're in. And I don't know why they felt we needed to know this, like I said, but they did, and we do. So we're in D4 right now. The car itself, like I said, feels light. I feel like this car would handle pretty well. I believe these things were raced over in Europe on the lower levels, along with the Calibria that Opel made as well, but that was front engine rear wheel drive. One of the, at least for me, iconic cars from Gran Turismo. That GT3 car was just fantastic, the Opel Calibria. So we're gonna go on the road here, and we're gonna step on a little bit, and you'll be able to feel the get up and go of the Ecotec 1.8 Saturn Astra. I wonder if they would have made a performance car here, if this thing would have been much different, because I think the design is fantastic. So I am flooring it right now. We're up to 40. 0 to 6 on this thing is right around 9 seconds, I believe. We're still in third gear though. Look at that, it's holding strong. Now we've kind of languished into fourth gear, but even at high speeds, and I'm going 70 right now, which is over the speed limit, so let's not get a ticket. But this thing feels, you know, I can drive this thing with 2 fingers, and it's comfortable. You know, I've got complete control of this car. Brakes are good. Brakes are very precise for this car. It's got, you know, the brakes themselves, the front are very capable. The rears, they're not drums, which a lot of the economy cars would be drums. This car, no. You've got calipers back there. You've got real brakes in this car in the back. Kind of surprising for this type of car, and really the value that you got on this car. I think at the time, and no one else would know this because no one bought this car, but the few that did, I think they got a pretty good deal back in those days. Everything you got for this car, the way the car looks, the way the car drives, the miles per gallon, even the insurance. This car is not rated at a very high rate. The car was a lot of quality and a lot of value at the time, but no one bought the car, so no one really knows this. I will tell you, on the used car market here in 2023, in my opinion, this car is an extreme value. First of all, the Saturn brand itself being dead now for 13 years, not a lot of people remember Saturns, but pretty well-made cars. They kind of went all over the place. They started out wanting to be different, and then they basically just rebadged everything that General Motors was making. They brought some stuff over from Europe, like this thing, like the Saturn Aura, which was also an Opel. They didn't really know what to do at the time, I guess, and they knew the car itself or the brand was dying, so they were doing whatever they could to try and save it. And I think creatively this was a great idea. It just wasn't marketed real well. I don't know anybody that ever saw a Saturn Astra commercial, or really even a Saturn commercial in 2008 and 2009. There probably were some, but I don't know where they were. They certainly weren't on ESPN or any channels I was watching. But I don't think anybody knew about this car, which is one of the problems. You know, how do you know if you're going to be interested in a car if you don't even know where the car, you know, what the car is, or if it's even being offered? But it's one of the things that I think Saturn kind of struggled with, was who and what they wanted to be. And at the end, I think there was too many people making too many bad decisions, and like a lot of General Motors brands at the time, it led to the car just dying. But this car itself, ton of value. Fun factor, pretty fun car. Overall, really like the car. It's always been one of those cars I've wanted to own. That's why I ended up buying it. Don't know how long I'm going to keep it, but it's always been a car I've wanted. This thing came in the 3-door, which is what I have. Wish it was a stick. It'd be a lot of fun if it was a stick, but it's not. And then it also came in a 5-door, making this thing really functional at the time. You know, basically a station wagon, if you will. This car got a lot of cubic, storage space, but cubic inch storage space back there. We can fit a lot of crap in this car if we want to. It's a super car, at least in my opinion, especially value-wise. Love this car. Which is now going to lead us to the end of our review. I want to thank everybody that's made it this far. I know that's probably a difficult factor, but as I stated before, the Doug Demure has the cool Doug score. We have this as well, the no sleep score, and we're going to go over each feature. So we have 2 different areas, and this being our very first one, this one's going to be collectible. I'm probably going to autograph this and sell this on eBay or maybe on my OnlyFans page if I ever get one. This is the first ever no sleep score. Thank you, Niagara University, for them offering this paper. But on here we've got, was going to be daily, but Doug does that, so I did DD. So we've got daily driver, and then we've got the fun factor. So let's start with the daily driver. The features on this car. I think there's a lot of cool features. There's a lot of useless features on this car. There's a lot of weird things on this car, so I only gave it a 2. Comfort level. I love the way the seats feel. Back legroom is terrible in this car. Even the back hatch to open it, not a very wide area. It's got a lot of space in the back, but you can't get it in through the back. It's very condensed. Quality, I gave this thing a 1. You already know the quality here. A lot of things don't work. Just look at it. Practicality, I gave it a 7. It's got a lot of storage space. You can haul a lot of crap in this car if you can actually get it in. Unfortunately, you end up needing to get the stuff in through the side doors, which is just not practical. But, still, you can fit a lot in a little car, which I like. Value, I gave this thing a 6. I don't know where else you're going to find a car that has this many features, that drives this well, that looks this good for this price. These things, on the low end, you're paying probably $1,500, $2,000. On the high end, you're paying maybe $4,000 for a car that has everything that works correctly, low miles. To me, that's a huge value. That's a great opportunity. We're going to go to the fun factor. Styling, I gave this thing a 7. Like I said, I think this thing is just gorgeous looking. I've always liked the way these things looked. This is actually the first one I've ever seen in person, which it did not disappoint. I like the wheels. I like the looks. I like the hatchback. I like everything about this car, look-wise. I think it's very cool styling-wise. Acceleration. This thing is not very fast. 0 to 60 in this thing is right around like 8.49 seconds, which isn't terrible, but it's not fast. So we gave it a 1. Handling, this thing handles quite well, but it is front wheel drive. So that's got a 4. Fun factor, I gave it a 3. It's not terribly exhilarating to drive, but it's enough, it's fun enough. I like the car. But realistically, I had to give it a 3. There's so many other cars out there that are so much better. Cool factor. I gave this thing a 7. I think this thing is beyond cool. I like odd, just like Doug does. To me, the odder, the stranger, the different is always going to be a higher level on the cool factor. So I gave this thing a 7. So we've got our total coming to DD being 20, fun factor being 22, our no sleep score, a respectable 42. Actually, right now, this is our highest rated car ever. Of course, it is our first rated car. So right now, it's number 1. I want to thank you for tuning in. If there's some cars that you think we should be reviewing, please let me know. My plan is to basically review cars as I import them from the UK, from Europe, from Japan, and or as I buy weird ones in the United States like this one. But there will be more cars coming. Thank you.